How to find breakout patterns before they happen, especially with altcoins. In this channel, I will show you guys how I find those patterns, and some are very common patterns you guys might be actually missing that's right in front of your eyes. And if you guys actually train your eyes to see these patterns, it becomes a lot lower risk and less stressful trading this market. I will also talk about if a possible weekend move is on the horizon for crypto, and the main indicator I will get into for this possible weekend move is for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the driver of this market. If it pumps, that is good for the altcoins, and if it dumps, that's very bad for the altcoins. So we're going to be talking about that as well. We're also going to be taking into a look into some major crypto news that could affect the markets. So let's get right into that right now. I will also answer some viewer questions after this news section here. Okay, so Cointelegraph, Bitcoin price trending back, but new highs before July unlikely analysis. Okay, so I think there is still a pretty good chance that Bitcoin makes a move either up or down before July. And I will be showing you guys why. I've been talking about this pattern for the past couple of days. And the end of the pattern is actually in early July. So there's actually quite a bit of time for Bitcoin to actually break out of this symmetrical triangle pattern here. And it usually favors the direction that precedes the pattern. In this case, it is up. Okay, so there is still a chance that Bitcoin breaks out before July. I actually disagree with this because a lot of the pattern is already pretty established, and the end of the pattern is in early July. So I actually kind of disagree with this. I think there is still a pretty good chance Bitcoin breaks out by July. Crypto Potato, Bitcoin price analysis, Bitcoin breakout looms is 100K or 110K next. So yeah, of course, there's going to be a downside to the symmetrical triangle pattern as well that I'm talking about, even though it favors a likelihood of a break to the upside. There is still a chance it breaks to the downside as well, a smaller chance. Okay, gotta consider both sides of the trade. What would I do if it breaks out? What would I do if it breaks down? Okay, so yeah. Next one, Bitcoin's 100K to 110K range becomes battleground for bulls and bears. Yes, as we're seeing, it has been very boring price action. The both sides of the trade are back. Are just battling it out. As soon as we see a move to the upside, it gets a pretty hard rejection, just like we did earlier a couple of hours ago. So this is a key battleground right now. We have quite a bit of moving averages that is coming up for Bitcoin as supports. Could we actually get some bounce from those moving averages if the symmetrical triangle pattern breaks down? That's I think that's highly likely. Next one. This is by News BTC. Ethereum prepares for decisive move. ETH BTC setup could trigger alt season. I think I'm just looking at the ETH USDT chart. Okay, it is trying to get back on top of some moving averages. On the 3-day time frame, on the weekly time frame. And getting back on top of these would be about 2,800. Okay, it's already retested these moving averages quite a few times, so a break above these moving averages, it's definitely in the cards on the next move. Okay, it could be next week, right? And I'll show you guys why on the Ethereum charts, right? But I think, yeah, if Ethereum actually gets a breakout, I think it could trigger an alt season. But I'm still paying attention to the Bitcoin chart. That is the key chart that I'm paying attention to, because if Ethereum pumps but Bitcoin dumps, I don't think there's going to be an alt season because of that. All right, next one up is by Crypto Potato. Ethereum price analysis. Ethereum consolidation continues as bullish momentum starts to fade. I mean, I don't think the bullish momentum is fading. I will back that up with reasonings on the charts. I think it's trying to get above quite a few moving averages as resistance, and it's already retested those resistances quite a few times. And when you hit a resistance a few times, like more and more, that resistance becomes weaker, and the next likely move would probably break it. Of course, that is just likely, right? What I'm saying is just in terms of probabilities. There's always going to be a downside risk as well. Nothing is 100% in this market. Now, that wraps it up for this news section. If you guys are interested in more news, I'm pulling these news headlines from TradingView. And if you guys don't have TradingView and are trying to learn how to trade this market, I highly recommend getting a TradingView subscription. It is like trading uphill if you guys don't have TradingView and trying to learn technical analysis and charts and how to actually trade this for yourself. Now, in TradingView, you get news, you get traders' ideas, you get charts and indicators a lot more clearly than the charts that the exchanges are showing you. I have a affiliate link in the description section below if you guys want to check it out. Sign up for a plan. They go for under $20 and more. Do use my affiliate link. I will get a commission if you sign up using my link, and I will get a commission if you guys sign up. And thank you very much. Let's come back here to the charts here real quick. What I'm seeing with Bitcoin is that we are still in the symmetrical triangle pattern. Okay. Getting very close to a possible move here because we are closer to that bottom trend line, right? But there has been some, attempted breakdowns by the bears here on this bottom trend line, but still has yet to get a solid candle close for me to say that this was a solid invalidation of the symmetrical triangle pattern to the downside. Okay. Now, like I said, this pattern usually breaks in favor of the direction that comes before it, and this is up. And if if we actually end up breaking out of this pattern to the upside, I'm gonna move this measure move down because it doesn't look like we're gonna be breaking out today. But could we get a possible weekend move here? I think it's more likely than usual. Like I'm just gonna weigh it like a smaller chance, incremental smaller chance that we might get a weekend move, and I'll show you guys why. Okay, first of all, this price action is it's very tight, right, between the daily 21 SMA, the blue line here, and the daily 50 SMA. Okay, so that is when it gets really tight, that means a decisive move is coming. Okay, because it's running out of room for the price action to go. All right, so even if this price action actually breaks below the weekly 50 SMA, let's just say, the next level of support I'm looking at will be the moving average on the 3-day time frame. That's currently at about 102K, but that is coming up because this 3-day candle closes in about 7 hours. So this looks like it's going to come up further to maybe 103K, right, and get support there. I mean, we're already almost at 103K anyways, so it's likely that Bitcoin's going to get a bounce from that moving average. And where that bounce could take us, well, that is something I will be following this weekend, okay? So that's why I think there is going to be a higher likelihood that there's going to be a move this weekend. Because usually on the weekends, it doesn't really do much. Now, we're going to come to Ethereum real quick and take a look into what's going on in here. Okay, Ethereum. So it's retested quite a bit of these moving averages quite a few times, right? The 3-day 200 SMA, right? The orange line here. And when it keeps hitting a certain resistance or support, that level gets weaker. In this case, it keeps hitting the resistance and it keeps, it's holding that support. So in my opinion here, this resistance is getting weaker. Okay. All right. So yeah. So I think Ethereum is trying to get above about that 2,800 range, and that'll be looking a lot better for Ethereum, since then it will be above all the moving averages on the higher time frames. Actually, the monthly time frame as well. That's about 2,800 as well. So that's what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm gonna get to some viewer questions. On the viewer question, I just want to mention that he asked if Caspa is able to get above 10 cents by November, and will we actually see all-time highs if the Fed raises rates? I mean, lowers rates by September. So that, I mean, it's a multi-part question, and I think there's a lot to it, right? According to the CME the CME watch tool, there is still a higher likelihood, like I think in the 60% range, that the Fed lowers rate. Okay, I mean, that is still, I mean, it's a higher chance than a pause, but I mean, there's still a 40% chance that there's a pulse, right? Um, my opinion is, because what I'm saying here is purely my opinions and speculations, none of which is financial advice in this video. Um, I think it's I think it's likely that Bitcoin could very much hit all-time highs before September. But I also have a plan for when it doesn't, right? Because nothing in this market is 100%. If Bitcoin actually hits all-time highs, then I think very likely that Caspa will actually be able to hit 10 cents, because it's going to bring quite a bit of these altcoins up with it. But, of course, what would you do if it doesn't, right? We can speculate all we want here, and there's going to be probabilities involved. But what would you do if it doesn't? Now, I've been holding quite a bit of these altcoins since March 2024, so it's been some time, a lot longer than I expect to make a profit from it, right, on a lot of these positions. Now, what am I doing? I'm trying to find other ways to make income so I can actually outlast the market and wait for this market to actually go on in its bull cycle. One of the ways is trying to get my YouTube channel up. So, I mean, if you guys are dependent on the market to make money, I think this is going to be a pretty iffy market right now until we actually get a straight trend. So, I would not rely completely on it. That is just my opinion. Okay. All right. Let's come back here to some altcoin setups here. All right, we're going to be talking about, on this channel, on this video, we're going to be talking about SUI. What is going on with SUI? Okay. Let's take a look into the weekly time frame here. We've talked about this last time. Okay. SUI actually pumped and broke above the weekly 21 SMA, and now it's basically retesting that moving average. Okay. When I see a downward sloping support or moving average, that usually means that it's going to be a pretty steep downward retest, and we're seeing that right now. It basically came all the way down to the weekly 50 SMA at about $2.70. Now let's zoom in and see if I can get any more clarity on what the price action could be doing. Last time I talked about a falling wedge pattern. Okay, still valid, even though the price action has gone back to retrace further down below its breakout points. It's still valid because it's still above that upper trend line. Price target out of this falling wedge pattern, it's about $3.95. Okay, that's what I'm seeing for SUI here. Let's come back to a lower time frame here, right? And see if I can get any more clues on what this price action could be doing. It looks like another falling wedge, which is a pattern that you guys should definitely be paying attention to, because it's a very common pattern, especially after extensive downside on that time frame. Okay, what this is saying is the bearish momentum is fading, because you can see that towards the end of the pattern, the range is tightening. Okay, so another falling wedge on the 4-hour time frame, and this one will give a price target of, you measure by taking the opening of the pattern and then putting that measurement on top of an estimated breakout point. Let's just put it there for example. So the price target here is going to be about $3.40, and price targets are estimates only. It could be more, it could be less. Let's take a look into MOG coin, see what has happened in this market since the last time we have visited this coin. All right, weekly time frame, price targets still valid. It has broke out quite a few weeks ago. Weekly time frame is going to be about 0.0000245 here. Price targets still valid. Let's take a look into lower time frame to get more clarity. Lower time frame here. On the daily time frame, no particular pattern, but on the 4-hour time frame, this looks like it's a possible breakdown of this falling wedge pattern. Now, falling wedge patterns usually break to the upside, okay? But of course, there's still a chance that it breaks to the downside. Confirmation is if we actually get a solid candle close below this falling wedge pattern. Otherwise, it'll be a fake breakdown, and this falling wedge pattern is still valid. In that case, the price target would be about 5 zeros and 12. Okay, that's basically what I'm looking at for MOG. Let's take a look into the next coin, which is WhiteRock. Weekly time frame for WhiteRock. It is still trying to establish a higher low here. And why is a higher low important? Because a higher low is, if you hold a higher low, the next logical move is a higher high. That is just how an uptrend looks like, right? So if, this price action here could actually, this weekly time frame here for WhiteRock can actually hold a higher low, which is, there's still quite some way to go for this time frame to hold that higher low. It's still trying to find a bottom for this higher low. A possible bottom, it could be about 0.00074. That's basically where some of these solid weekly candle closes were, right? And it's trying to bounce off that right now, right? So that is one possible bottom for this weekly time frame. Now let's come over here to the daily time frame, where there is a falling wedge pattern, okay, that is trying to break out of. And let's just say it's getting pretty close to that upper trend line. Let's just say, for example, it doesn't have to be breaking up at tomorrow. If it does, price target is going to be about 0.18 cents price targets. That is basically what I'm seeing for WhiteRock. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame to get more clarity. Could this be a falling wedge breakout here that we're seeing right now? Yes, possibly. So it's already breaking out of a falling wedge pattern here. And the price target out of this smaller falling wedge, it's already broken out. It's going to take WhiteRock out of this bigger falling wedge pattern. Now, price targets are estimates only. Again, it could be more, it could be less. There could be fake outs. There could be breakdowns as well. So very important to just keep following what's on the charts. Now, this wraps it up for my video for this one. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys want to see any other technical analysis, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, letting me know what you guys want to see. I'll pick one to do for you guys on a daily basis.